Yes,
Okay,
sir.
everybody keep yourself on mute. So very good evening to everyone. This is this month, the month of July, we celebrate as the Diabetes Education Month, and 30th July was the Insulin Discovery Day. So as you all know, the insulin is the life-saving therapy for the patients who are on type 1, who are on gestational diabetes, or the patient with type 2, there is a insulin resistance. So we know all these things. But today we are discussing a rarely discussed topic, that is latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. So I will just move on to the introduction part, and it is why it is called 1.5 diabetes, what are the symptoms, what are the clinical features, why we do it, why we call it as type 1 1.5 diabetes. So everything we will be discussing. Okay, so let's move on to the introduction part. So the introduction will be given by Hema. Hema is the dietitian from Guwahati, and she has completed her deep diet from the All India Institute of Hygiene and Public Health. So she will be giving the introduction part. And a classification part, that is epidemiology and the prevalence, will be discussed by Annesha. Annesha has already completed her master's. She is an academician. She is working as a school teacher. She is also from Kolkata and currently associated with Shishu Mongol Hospital. The pathophysiology and the factors enhancing the risks will be discussed by dietitian Shatrupa. She is working into corporate hospitals, and she is also doing her PhD from Jadavpur University. The clinical symptoms and the different diabetes and the importance. I think most of you know what is the importance of C-peptide test. So C-peptide test will be discussed by the Akriti Agarwal. She is also a nutritionist and doing her masters, and she is from Kolkata. Vidha Bhatt is from Mumbai. She is also a practicing dietitian. She has worked in hospitals and now currently working in a as a freelance dietitian, and she will discuss about the diagnostic criteria and the treatment of the type 1.5 diabetes. The MNT and the education will be discussed by Rajarshi Menon. She is also a very senior dietitian, and she was detached from the field of nutrition for her family reason for some of the years, but she is almost 10 years of experience in this field, and she is from Bangalore. And ACMBG, which we call the self-monitoring blood glucose. Self-monitoring blood glucose is one of the important parameter to check the blood glucose and to control blood glucose accordingly. So summary and the ACMBG will be discussed by Kajal Agarwal. She is the nutritionist from Ranchi, and she has also completed her the masters in dietetics and food service management. The last but not the least, the portions, the Q&A session, which is a very important session and will be a very interactive session. So I will request all the participants to ask the question at the end, not in between. So it will be handled by Mandira Roy Sannal. So she is also an dietitian, and she has more than 6 to 7 years of experience in the field of academic, and as a nutritionist. She belongs from Barashat, and she completed her graduation and masters from both State University and Vidyasagar University. So we are moving to the main session. I like to invite Hema Das to give the introduction part. Welcome, Hema.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. Hello, namaskar. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Hema Das. So today our topic is LADA. So before that, let me give you a brief introduction about what is diabetes mellitus or what is diabetes. Diabetes is a metabolic syndrome which is characterized by elevated blood glucose or hyperglycemia with disturbance in carbohydrate, fat, and protein metabolism, resulting in defects in insulin production, insulin action, or both. A person is said to be diabetic when the person blood glucose level is above 126 mg/dl. So now let's come to our main topic, that is LADA. LADA stands for latent autoimmune diabetes in adult. It was introduced in the year 1993. It is also known as 1.5 diabetes because it is symptoms of both type 1 and type 2. Like type 1 DM, diabetes mellitus, the pancreas stops producing adequate insulin, which slowly damages the beta cells of the pancreas that produces insulin. Latter progresses slowly than type 1 as insulin production decreases in type 1, which may take months or even years. Now, LADA progresses much faster than type 2 as the decline in insulin production is much more rapidly than type 2. LADA is often misdiagnosed with type 2 as type 2 is a non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, and even in LADA, the insulin dependent of patient is seen very less. It occurs above 35 years, so it is often misdiagnosed with type 2. Thank you. Over to Anisha.
Welcome,
Thank you,
Anish.
Hema. Okay, so now we will be studying about the classification of diabetes mellitus. We all know about type 1, type 2, and GDM, but here we are going to classify it in a modern look. Just first one, it's type 1. And we all know
Sorry to interrupt, Anisha, your video is not on.
Sorry. Hello. Sorry. So type 1, it is, we all know it is about autoimmune, it is an autoimmune condition, and usually it is insulin dependent. So is LADA, and LADA is type 1.5. It usually progresses after the age of 30. Next, we will be discussing it in the later slides. Next, it comes the type 2. Type 2 is non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, and it has severe and mild forms. It can be severe insulin deficient or insulin resistant condition. Next comes the type 3. This usually occurs when the neurons are unable to respond to the insulin. For example, in case of Alzheimer's disease, we usually see this kind of diabetes mellitus. Next, we come to the type 4. It's mainly seen in lean elderly caused by overactivity of immune cells. We all know it's usually diabetes mellitus is seen in obese patient, and the insulin resistance condition occurs. But in this type 4, lean patient suffers from diabetes mellitus due to immune system cell. Next, we come to the monogene. As the name suggests, monogene is the condition when genes mutate, and it is a rare condition, and it has two classification as well, like MODY, maturity onset diabetes of the young. It's rare, abnormal, and insulin secretion due to mutation in single gene. Monogene, the word suggests, only one of those gene is mutated. And next comes the NDM. It is a neonatal diabetes mellitus. It is also a rare condition and occurs in the first 6 to 12 months of life. Next slide, please. Hello. Hello, sir. Next slide. Yes, now we come to the epidemiology of LADA. Most epidemiological studies suggest that LADA is the most frequent form of adult onset autoimmune diabetes and may account for 2% to 12% of all cases of diabetes in adult population. Moreover, multi-center studies carried out in Europe, Asia, and North America reported that 4% to 14% of patients diagnosed with type 2 diabetes mellitus are positive for type 1 diabetes mellitus, also associated with autoantibodies, which are diagnostic for LADA. Next slide, please, sir. Hello, sir. Next, we come to the prevalence. The prevalence of LADA seems to vary between different countries and populations, probably due to differences in study design, different lifestyles, and their ethnicity. In the multi-center China study, a frequency of 5.9% was reported, whereas in the Korean population, show a prevalence ranging between 4.4% and 5.3%. Regarding African, American, and Arab population, recent studies have shown a lower prevalence of adult onset autoimmune diabetes among these population. People who have LADA are usually over the age of 30 years. And this is and for this reason, it is called type 1.5 because it is autoimmune like type 1, and it starts at the later stage of our life, that is after 30 years of age. Thank you. Over to you, Shatrupati.
Hello,
Thank you.
hello. I would like to ask you the previous slide, the second point.
So
Yes.
can we, Shushmita, ask at the end? We do not want to disturb the flow. At the end, we will ask. Please park your question, Shushmita Di. Okay. So moving on to the pathophysiology.
Thank you,
That is
Anisha. Pathophysiology of LADA. How LADA occurs? LADA occurs because when pancreas stop producing adequate insulin, resistance to the hormone insulin resulting increasing blood sugar. The hormone insulin control the amount of glucose in the blood. With insulin resistance, the body's cells don't respond normally, and the risks of progressing the type 1 diabetes mellitus. LADA is assigned to subtype of immune-mediated type 1 diabetes mellitus. According to the typing method for diabetes of WHO, World Health Organization in 1999, which shares clinical features of type 1 diabetes mellitus and type 2 diabetes mellitus. There have some genetic factors that enhances the risks of latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. Now, I am going to discuss the genetic susceptibility. HLA-DDQ. HLA-DQ is a cell surface receptor protein found on antigen-presenting cell. It is an alpha-beta heterodimer of type MHC class 2. The alpha and beta chains are encoded by two locus and HLA-DQA1 and HLA-DQB1. Different isoforms of the DQ can bind to and present the different antigens of the T cells. When tolerance of cell protein is lost, DQ may become involved in the autoimmune disease. Two autoimmune disease in which HLA-DQ is involved. One is the celiac disease and another one is the type 1 diabetes mellitus. Mainly class 2 gene products HLA-DR3 and HLA-DR4 may be the highest primary susceptibility gene for LADA. Next is PTPN22 gene. The PTPN22 gene on chromosome 1 encodes the lymphoid-specific tyrosine phosphate involved the suppression of the T cell activation and thereby T-dependent antibody production and has been increased the susceptibility to latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. Last one is the SH2B3. SH2B adapter protein 3, also known as lymphocyte adapter protein, that is LNK, is protein that in human is encoded by SH2B3 gene on chromosome. LNK function as a regulator is signaling pathway of cell relating to the hematopoiesis, inflammation and cell migration. As a result, it is involved in blood disease, autoimmune disorders like type 1 diabetes or LADA. And next slide, please. Factors that enhances the risk. Genetic factors already discussed. Lifestyle disorders. Studies on lifestyle and LADA risks indicate the factors such as overweight, physical inactivity, consumptions of alcohol, low birth weight that are associated with the insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes may also promote LADA. Next slide. Next slide. Coffee consumption study, a Swedish case control study, recently indicated that coffee may increase the chance of developing LADA. 8 ounces of coffee was ingested in a 24-hour time period. The quality of the GADA means glutamic acid decarboxylase antibodies, is the most important factor for prediction of the insulin therapy in the participants' bodies grew by 15%. This finding was important given that a higher amount of GADAs is associated with LADA. Over to Akriti.
Thank you so much, Achupadi. Am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are visible audible. Welcome, Akriti.
Thank you, sir. So, for so long, we have been discussing about LADA being type 1.5 diabetes. So, let's see how LADA is, why and how LADA is called type 1.5 diabetes and what are the differences and similarities between LADA and type 1 and type 2 diabetes. In this pie chart, we can see that there are some differences and yet some similarities between LADA, type 1 and type 2 diabetes. First, coming to type 1 and LADA. Both type 1 diabetes and LADA, which is also called 1.5 diabetes, are autoimmune disorders. Autoimmune disorders means that in both these conditions, the patient's body develops certain autoantibodies which attack the pancreas, their own pancreas beta cells. That means in both these diseases, the body cells or the body becomes its own enemy. Another similarity which we can see between LADA and type 1 diabetes is that both have a genetic link, both have a genetic connection. That means there is a genetic cause for this disease as well. Now, the difference in both LADA and type 1 diabetes is the C-peptide levels. As we can see here, in case of type 1 diabetes, the C-peptide levels are very low because the insulin production in type 1 diabetes is low. I will discuss about the C-peptide in my upcoming slide very nicely. And in case of type 1.5 diabetes, the C-peptide levels is low but not extremely low as seen in type 1 diabetes. Now coming to LADA and type 2 diabetes. Now they have more differences. LADA is an autoimmune disorder, but type 2 diabetes is not an autoimmune disorder. It is actually a lifestyle disorder. It occurs due to our faulty lifestyles. Number one. Number two, the LADA and type 2, type 2 diabetes, the C-peptide levels are not extremely low. They are low in LADA and low or normal in type 2 diabetes. Now, the similarity which we can see in type 2 diabetes and LADA diabetes is that both are adult onset diabetes. That means both these conditions do not occur in the juvenile stage or in the teenage stage, but it occurs in the early adulthood or the late adulthood. Going to the next slide, sir. Okay, C-peptide test. This is a very important test which is done to see that what type of diabetes does the patient has. Now, C-peptide is actually an amino acid polypeptide. This polypeptide is released by the beta cells of pancreas during the release of insulin. That means when the insulin is released in our body, with that insulin, C-peptide is also released in the equal amount and in the same time. The normal level for C-peptide is 0.5 to 2 mg per ml. Now, what happens is that in LADA, the C-peptide levels are low. They are not extremely low, but they are low. in case of type 1 diabetes, the C-peptide levels are extremely low. This is because in type 1 diabetes, the insulin production is almost nil. That is why when the insulin is low, so the C-peptide levels are also low. But when it comes to type 2 diabetes, the C-peptide levels are normal. This is because in case of type 2 diabetes, there is the insulin production is adequate, but there is insulin resistance, as we all know. Going to the next slide. Okay, the clinical symptoms of LADA. Now, the clinical symptoms of LADA is very similar to type 1 and type 2 diabetes. We know why it is similar to type 1 and type 2 diabetes, as I discussed before. The symptoms are excessive urination. Now, this blood which was due to the high sugar in our blood, because of which it starts affecting or harming our eyes. That is why we have blurred vision. High levels of blood sugar, high levels of sugar in urine, dry skin, and tingling in hands and feet. Now, you may think that if the symptoms are so similar to type 1 and type 2 diabetes, it must be very difficult to differentiate between type 1, type 2, and LADA. In the future slides, my teammates will discuss how there are some symptoms which are different from both from LADA and type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Over to Vidadi.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So we have seen that symptoms of LADA is very much similar with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Many times in confusion, patient is diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and obviously C-peptide is one of the marker. But what are the specific criteria for LADA to diagnose? Let's see that. So according to Immunology of Diabetes Society, following are the criteria for diagnosing LADA. Firstly, patient must be greater than 30 years of age. Secondly, positive for at least one or more for following 4 antibodies. What are the antibodies? Antibodies are antibodies to islet cell antigens, that is anti-ICA, antibodies to glutamic acid decarboxylase, also called as GADA, antibodies to tyrosine phosphate protein, that is IA2S, insulin autoantibodies, that is IAA, and third criteria is patient have not required treatment with insulin within first 6 months of diagnosis. So insulin requirement is also there in type 2 diabetes, but it is not as fast as within 6 months. Next. So this table is taken, it shows characteristics of type 1, type 2 and LADA. So already C-peptide and other pathophysiological diseases already presented by my following colleagues. So I am concentrating on only antibodies. So for now, let's concentrate on antibodies. So in type 1 diabetes, we can say that almost all antibodies is positive because it is autoimmune. In type 2 diabetes, we can say that antibodies comes negative. But in LADA, antibodies can be positive and can be negative. But I have seen, again, I have reviewed a study which shows that GADA is become positive in LADA patients. So let's see that study. So in study, what they have done is they have selected 1 or 2 patients who were above 35 years of age on the onset of the diabetes, and which initially has been known, they have initially has been known insulin dependent in first 6 months. Furthermore, they have classified according to their C-peptide levels into insulin deficit group out of 102, 33 patients were insulin deficient, and second is insulin non-deficient group. So out of 102, 69 patients were insulin indeficient. So in result, they have found that who were insulin deficient, out of 102 patients, 33 patients were 33 patients were have more GADA antibodies, and out of 102 patients, and out of 102 patients, only 12% of patients have shown positive. This is important. So they have concluded it as this is important. GADA is important for early intervention of LADA, but it also helps in correct classification of diabetes, diagnosing of correct classification of diabetes. Next. So many of us think that treatment must be same of type 1 and type 2 diabetes, but no, there is still difference in treatment. As we have seen that in LADA, destruction of beta cell happens gradually. So initially onset, pancreas produces some amount of insulin. So in this period of time, patient responds to some of glucose lowering agents and lifestyle modifications. But as it progresses, patients need to treat with insulin. So now we think that treatment of type 1 and type 2 is similar, but some kind of drugs like sulfonylurea should be avoided as they stimulate the beta cell of pancreas to produce more insulin, and this lead to further more destruction. So there are some studies shown that dipeptidyl peptidase 4 inhibitor DPP4 helps in LADA. So let's see how this drug is useful in LADA. The next. Hello. Yeah. So let's see how drug works. So DPP4 inhibitor blocks the incretin enzymes, that is GLP-1 and GIP-2. Now can you tell me what is GLP-1 and GIP-2? Can anybody tell me? Okay.
Very relevant question. Among the students, can anybody tell what is GLP-1?
Sir, Sanya.
Yes.
GLP glucagon-like protein.
Yes. Peptide.
Yes,
Or
glucagon-like peptide 1.
You correct me. Is peptide or protein? I am confusing you.
Glucagon-like.
Then what is it?
Glucagon-like peptide. Glucagon-like protein. Peptide, sir.
Yes. So.
এটা কি sorry sir.
Keep yourself on mute. Vida, continue.
Okay, so GIP is gastric inhibitory polypeptide and GLP-1 is glucagon-like peptide 1. So DPP-1 inactivates the enzyme incretins, and this leads to stimulate in insulin release and inhibit the glucagon release. So once insulin release is stimulated, the blood glucose lowers. So this helps in lowering the blood glucose.
This is the way the bigonides or the metformin is working, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, the bigonides are working like this. Yes. Should I move to the next slide?
Yes, sir. So I have seen a study. It is a randomized control study conducted in a hospital in China. What they have done is they have selected 30 patients who were recently diagnosed with LADA. Out of 30 patients, 50 patients is treated with insulin and DPP-4 inhibitor, and other 50 patients is treated with insulin only. So in the starting of the trial, they have measured fasting 2-hour postprandial blood glucose. Again, in the This in the gap of 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. Besides this test, they have tested HbA1c and C peptide level in the starting of the study. And so after the, so next slide. So result, we can see that after months they have found that patient who was only treated with DPP inhibitor have same level of fasting, PP, HbA1c and C peptide as it was in starting, but in group B who was only treated with insulin has lower level of C peptide. It means that there was more destruction of beta cells. So they have concluded it that DPP4 inhibitor with insulin helps in maintenance of beta cell functions. Now, not only treatment will help in not only drug treatment with help, but also dietary treatment also helps. Medical nutrition therapy also helps. So, over to Rajashri. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidha. Good evening, everyone. Now I'm going to discuss about the medical nutrition therapy. So the National Academy of Medicine described nutrition therapy as a treatment of a disease or a condition through a modification of nutrient or the whole food. So an individualized medical nutrition therapy is recommended for all the people with diabetic, because every individual is different, so the nutrition needs are also different. So an individualized nutrition approach is recommended. Next, we will see what are the goals of medical nutrition therapy. So first goal, no sir, the first slide. Thank you. So the first goal is to slow down the progression of the disease. That means in LADA patient, the pancreas is losing its beta cells due to these autoimmune reactions. This is a gradual process. So through a healthy lifestyle changes and a well-balanced diet, we can preserve these beta cells to some extent. The next goal is to promote and support a healthy eating pattern in order to improve the overall health. So we need to give a variety of nutrient-dense food choices in an appropriate portion size. The next goal is to help the people to achieve and maintain a healthy body weight, glycemic level, blood pressure, and lipid goals. The next goal is to delay or prevent the complication of diabetes. As we all know that diabetes have a lot of acute and chronic complications. So help them to delay the onset of complication or prevent the onset of complications. The other goal is to address individual nutrition needs, taking into account personal and cultural preferences and willingness to change. That means while formulating a diet plan, we need to consider the food preferences, cultural and personal preferences of that person. For example, during the Ramzan month, people usually don't take any food during the daytime. So we need to plan our diet according to their needs without hampering any nutrition goal. Next, we will see what are the recommendation of different nutrients. So next slide. Actually, the diet in LADA is very much similar to the diet in type 1 diabetic, because after sometimes this LADA diabetic patient also need insulin to regulate their blood glucose level. So next, move on to the energy. So to achieve a normal body weight through a controlled calorie intake is the primary objective of all the diabetic patient. Based on one's weight status, activity level, and diet history, we can estimate the daily energy requirement of that person. For a normal body, ideal body weight people, we can give 25 to 35 kilocalorie per kg per day based on their activity level. For obese people, we can give around 20 kilocalorie per kg per day. Next is carbohydrate. So next. Actually, the carbohydrate plays an important role in diabetic diet because the glycemic control is totally depend on how much carbohydrate we are taking and the quality of the carbohydrate. Around 45 to 60% of calories from carbohydrate is recommended. Actually, a lot of studies are going on in this field, how much carbohydrate is beneficial for diabetic patient. Some studies shows that a low carbohydrate is beneficial for this LADA patient, especially in the beginning stage. But if a person who takes a daily insulin, a fixed daily insulin dose, they need to ensure a timely intake of carbohydrate in an appropriate portion size. Otherwise, there is a chances of hypoglycemia and altered blood glucose level. So while selecting a carbohydrate source, always select a complex carbohydrate, the foods which rich in fiber, low in glycemic index and glycemic load. So, for example, the whole grain cereals, pulses, and different types of vegetables. But minimize the use of the starchy vegetables like potato and tapioca, yam, etc. And also restrict the visible sugar to less than 10% of the total energy intake. Next is protein. So around 15 to 20% of calories from protein is recommended. In that, preferably 50% of the protein intake from high biological value protein. For example, eggs, fish, lean meat, skin out chicken, and low fat milk and milk products, etc. The pulses, legumes, soy, and soy products are also an excellent source of protein. So it is better to include one protein source in every meal in order to blunt the glycemic response. Next is fat. So around 25 to 30% of calories from fat is recommended. In that, around 7 to 10% of calories from saturated fatty acid, 5 to 7% of calories from polyunsaturated fatty acid, and 12 to 15% of calories from monounsaturated fatty acid. According to American Heart Association, the ratio of saturated, polyunsaturated, and monounsaturated fat is 1:1:1. And the recommendation for trans fat is less than 1%. Mainly, the most of the bakery items are made up of this trans fat. Trans fat is the hydrogenated fat. So it is better to avoid these kinds of food. And according to American Heart Association, less than 10% of calories from saturated fat is recommended. So minimize the use of saturated fatty acid sources like full fat milk, ghee, butter, and animal fats like pork fat, meat fat, beef fat, and the coconut and coconut oil, etc. All the vegetables oil like sunflower oil, soybean oil, and corn oil, etc., and fish oil and flaxseed contain polyunsaturated fatty acid. This fish oil and flaxseed contain omega-3 fatty acids, which has a good role in maintaining the autoimmune diseases. All the vegetable fat contain omega-6 fatty acid. So it is better to maintain a healthy ratio of omega-3 and omega-6 is also important. The ratio is 1:4. And the example for monounsaturated fatty acids are olive oil, canola oil, most of the nuts, peanut oil, and seeds are the examples for monounsaturated fatty acids. So it is So, including the different types of nuts and seeds in a diabetic diet is beneficial. Not only get the good fat, but also it has a lot of fiber and a lot of minerals also. So, next is vitamins and minerals. So the nutrients like vitamin A, D, E, K, C, selenium, chromium, magnesium, zinc, and flavonols have a protective role in autoimmune diseases. This chromium and magnesium plays a significant role in improving the insulin sensitivity. The chromium also help in glucose metabolism in people with glucose intolerance, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, gestational diabetes, and steroid-induced diabetes. And a moderately restricted, sodium-restricted diet is also prescribed in for diabetic people, because the diabetic people are more susceptible to hypertension also. So it is better to follow a moderately low sodium diet. The recommendation for sodium is 2,300 milligram per day. So include a lot of different types of vegetables, fruits. In case of fruits, there is some limitation for diabetic people, and a lot of green leafy vegetables. So we can get these vitamins and minerals from our food, unless any deficiencies. No need to go for any supplementation. Next is fiber. So the fiber also plays an important role in diabetic diet. The fiber is defined as a carbohydrate and lignin found in plants that is not digested by our stomach or absorbed in a GI tract. A fiber-rich meal processes more slowly, and it promotes satiety, and it delays the glucose absorption, and is also help to lower the serum cholesterol and triglyceride level, and it increases the fecal bulk. The recommendation for fiber is 20 to 30 gram per day. So include variety of vegetables, green leafy vegetables, nuts, and whole grain cereals, then pulses. For example, while using a polished dal, we can use a dal with husk, and instead of using that plain atta, we can use multigrain atta. That's how we can increase the fiber content in our food. Along with all these nutrients, the water is also very important. As all we know that water helps to improve the metabolism, and it helps to flush out all the toxins from our body. So well hydration is also very important. So in cut short, through a healthy lifestyle and well-balanced diet and proper medication, we can easily manage this diabetes. The next portion, where Kajal is going to continue. Over to Kajal. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajeshri. To Kajal, and this is the last portion which Kajal is going to cover, and very important portion Kajal will cover now. Welcome, Kajal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rashidi. Now let's move further. Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. Diabetes education plays a vital role in the management of diabetes. It is crucial for diabetic patients to be aware of nature, treatment, risk factor, and of course the complication of disease due to providing suitable modality to reduce following complications. Better education and knowledge to control and treat diabetes at right time can minimize the chances of complications and thus reduce the morbidity and mortality in diabetes. Diabetic education support and encourage the individual to assume active responsibilities for the day-to-day control of their situation. The education about carbohydrate counting, which is actually a meal planning approach, and also the reading food levels to control the blood glucose level and to maintain the balance between glucose level or medication or insulin doses. So regular monitoring of urine, blood and lipid level, and also how to manage the sick day is most important aspect for diabetes management or diabetes education. Now, the most important questions or common question that comes in everybody's mind, that how to monitor the glucose at regular interval. So the answer is on next slide. That is SMBG, self-monitoring of blood glucose. So what is this SMBG? SMBG stands for self-monitoring blood glucose. So self-monitoring of blood glucose is an important aspect of treatment for all people with diabetes. It provides immediate feedback and data that enables people to access how their food choices, physical activity, and medication affect their blood glucose control. So in this chart, we can see that a component of SMBG. So some successful SMBG require education. It is not enough to understand how to operate a blood glucose meter and successfully perform a test. For successful SMBG, the educational component of SMBG includes two types of skill. First is operational skill, and second one is interpretive skill. Operational skill is that how to operate a glucometer, and interpretive skill is that how to interpret and act on SMBG data. It is very common for people who are testing their blood glucose to be proficient at and feel confident in their ability to perform tests, but to not use their SMBG data in lifestyle decision making. Then what is the value of SMBG? There is no value, and it is a waste of resources. So now let's understand this with an example. A person may know how a parachute works and how to wear it properly, but unless one uses a parachute when jumping out of a plane, then parachute is of no value. The same can be said to SMBG. It provides value when the data obtained are used. Using SMBG data depends on knowing blood glucose target, understanding how often and when to test, and using glucose pattern management in decision making, not only for the people with diabetes, but also for their healthcare provider to suggest the potential effect of SMBG on metabolic outcome, safety, quality of life, and economic consideration. So next slide, please. So next slide.
Kajal, it's not changing. Just give a second. You continue your discussion.
Okay, sir. As there are no universally accepted standards for frequency and timing of SMBG, but many factors must be considered when determining how often and when to test blood glucose level, such as types of diabetes, willingness to perform SMBG, financial limitation, level of diabetes control, medication regimen, comorbid conditions, lifestyle and daily schedule with regard to activity, food and work, etc. So the previous slide. Yes. Thank you, sir. There are many possible testing regimens, all of which use a variation of paired testing. The 5 and 7 point regimen and the staggered frequency regimen are considered meal-based testing schemes. The goal of this regimen is to discover the effect of food consumed on the rise in blood glucose after specific meal times. It is usually recommended that blood glucose should be measured at least 4 times a day, that is pre-breakfast, post-breakfast, post-lunch and post-dinner. But performing fewer tests over several days at a specific meal time and then rotate testing every several days until all meal time can be accessed is more acceptable. Testing blood glucose before and after meals, the resulting data should provide insight into when the out of target blood glucose level are occurring, and postprandial testing provide insight on the effect of meal, efficiency of medication and effect of physical activity of blood glucose level. ADA stands for American Diabetes Association. So ADA targets blood glucose guidelines are applicable to all people. Postprandial blood glucose level ranges from 70 to 140 mg per dl, and postprandial peak value of less than 180 mg per dl can be explained to individual as targeted level. Well, that is all we have for today. Now I would like to conclude what we have talked about. So, Well, type 1.5 diabetes, also known as latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, that is LADA. LADA is a mixed type of diabetes as it comes on slowly during adulthood, like type 2, but it caused mostly by an immune system reaction, like type 1. LADA is initially non-insulin requiring diabetes diagnosed at the age over 30. Obesity are the major risk factor for developing LADA, and the increased frequency of thirst, increased frequency of urination, blurred vision, fatigue, and unintentional weight loss are the major clinical symptoms for type 1.5 diabetes. Diagnostic criteria for LADA include presence of any one of the antibodies, any one or more than one of the antibodies, and low level of C-peptide. Nutrition, medication, and exercise must each be accessed and addressed individually in diabetes management. Less carbohydrate and more dietary fiber is the best MNT for LADA. Judicious use of SMBG helps to improve glycemic control and appropriate scheduling of food, medication, and physical activity. That's all. Thank you.
So thank you, Kajal, and welcome, Mandira. So let's have the Q&A session now. And we have some senior dietitians. So Mandira, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes.
And once again, good evening to everyone. So I'm Mandira Rashannal. I will be taking over the QA round. First, I would like to thank all the presenters who have given us so many additional information about diabetes mellitus and LADA. As LADA is not a frequently discussed topic, so you all will be agree with me. It was a very, very, very enriching session, isn't it? So without wasting any time, I'm going to the QA round. My first question is going to Rajashree. Rajashree, will you explain us why a low carbohydrate diet is beneficial for LADA diabetic patients? Please, Rajashree.
Okay. Actually, in LADA diabetic patient, their pancreas is already in a compromised state because of this autoimmune reactions. So if we give more carbohydrate, it pressurizes the beta cells to produce more insulin, and it results in the early destruction of the beta cells. So a low carbohydrate diet is beneficial to preserve these beta cells to some extent. But don't go for too low carbohydrate in diet because of the formation of ketone bodies. So around 50 to 55% of carbohydrate is applicable. Thank you.
So do you recommend keto diet for actually, Mandira, sorry to interrupt you. I am asking the same question base. So do you recommend keto diet to a diabetic patient who is on LADA? Obviously, the patient will not be overweight, obviously. But if I consider it is a type 2 diabetes, so we provide a keto diet recommendation which is too low carb, that is negligible carb, 5% of carb. Will you recommend to that patient for a patient suffering from diabetes? Consider it is a not long-term diabetes, newly diagnosed and very young patient.
Actually, the carbohydrate is a primary source of the fuel of our body. So if we normally the type 1 diabetic people take the insulin, so some carbohydrate is needed.
I agree with you. If the person is very active or person is doing physical activity, so there will be a chance of hypoglycemia if the patient is on insulin or maybe on insulin secretagogue, whatever the patient is on, but we should not give this kind of diet to a diabetic patient. Generally, it is not recommended.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Rajashree. Now moving to the second question. What is the relationship between SMBG and the development of diabetic complication? My second question is for Kajal. Kajal, will you explain us?
Yes. As I explained earlier, in my slides that the development and progression of diabetic complications are strongly related to the degree of glycemic control. SMBG helps to achieve a specific level of glycemic control by providing immediate feedback and data that enable us how the food choices, physical activity, and medication affect the blood glucose level. So if SMBG is done properly, it may improve the level of glycemic control and the level of glycemia and thereby HbA1c level and indirectly reflect on microvascular disease development. I hope I am clear.
Again, I want to interrupt. So, Kajal, my question will be, if the patient are generally confused, and this is a generally asked question, Mandira, that if I doing blood test in glucometer and from the lab, so will there be a difference and will it be accepted by the doctor? So what will be your view in this?
So, today, in today's scenario, doctors are accepted the glucometer test as it is done by capillary venous blood. Its plasma concentration is also higher. So the doctor is accepted that test, and it's mostly accurate. Its level is mostly accurate.
Okay. So I am just adding one point with it. Most of the dietitians will agree the patient on insulin or patient not on insulin. So we should recommend the patient to buy a glucometer and test on the frequent basis. And as Kajal has nicely explained, that one fasting along with 3 pre and 3 post should be done within 1 week. If it can be done in a 1 day also. So keep a note of the diet in a diary, and then testing is important. And if you are carrying this along with your diet and this diary with the doctors, you can consult the treatment. The compliance will be very good. And also there are sometimes the devices came, that is ambulatory blood glucose, or the device which is given to the patients for 24 hours. The glucose are being checked for that. So though the device is expensive, but that also doctor accepted, because these devices are very much useful nowadays. And about glucometer, these glucometers are actually internationally and nationally accepted by many guidelines and many doctors.
Yes, sir.
Especially for the gestational diabetes type 1, it is mandatory to have a glucometer.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you, Kajal. So my third question is for Anisha. So Anisha, will you explain us for which antibodies beta cell failure progression occurs more rapidly in case of LADA?
Yes,
Please,
this antibodies were explained by Vidha. So as per her, adult onset diabetic patients with 2 or 3 antibodies like ICAs or GADAs, IA2As, these patients deteriorated in beta cell function within 5 years of onset of LADA. Whereas among those with only ICAs or only GADAs, severe beta cell dysfunction seem to be occur at later stage, means almost after 12 years of diagnosis of LADA. So we can see that patients who have more antibodies, their progression of beta cell function are earlier than with less number of antibodies.
Very nice, Anisha. Very nice. Nicely explained by Anisha. So now moving to the fourth question. My fourth question is...
I will request everyone to please stay with us for some time. After the 5th question, we will have again interactive. Many senior dietitians have joined. So many dietitians, even the diabetes educator, those who are working for the insulin company, like Shomo is there, Shushmita Chattopadhyay ma'am is there, Mom Bhattacharya ma'am is there, Kalpana ma'am, and many senior dietitians are there today with us. So we will also share their views in this platform. So now to Mandira.
Yes. So fourth question is for Vidha. Vidha, what is the effect of DPP-4 inhibitors on insulin and why it's beneficial for LADA patients? Will you explain?
Yes. So DPP-4 inhibitors works by inactivating enzyme incretin, that is GIP-1, gastric inhibitory polypeptide and glucagon-like polypeptide GLP-1. This stimulates insulin and inhibits glucagon release, and this uptakes glucose and lowers the blood glucose level. By this, it helps in LADA patients. I hope it is clear.
Yes, Vita.
Is it
Yes.
clear? Join. Hope it is clear. If it is not clear, Vida can repeat once again. Hope it is clear. Okay, so moving to the last question.
Yes, yes. It is for Hema. Hema, why it is said
Yes.
that a person with LADA or 1.5 diabetes may have thyroid problems too? How LADA is related to it? Will you explain, dear?
Yes. So as we all know that LADA diabetes is an autoimmune endocrine disorder. So any autoimmune disorder in our body may give rise to another autoimmune disorder. For example, thyroid. So, and also as LADA patient have higher GAD antibodies, GAD stands for glutamic acid decarboxylase, antibodies are higher in LADA patients. So for that purpose, the thyroid antibodies are found in the patient, such as TPO. TPO stands for thyroid peroxidase antibodies, and TG antibodies, TG antibodies that stands for thyroglobulin antibodies. Thus, LADA can be a component of autoimmune polyendocrine syndrome. I hope everyone got it.
Yes,
Nice.
yes, Hema. Okay.
So thank you, Mandira. Mandira, can you please check the chat box while I will
Yes.
take the question? Shushmita ma'am was there. Shushmita ma'am, if you are there, you are asking some question from the slide. So if you ask, I can go back to the slides. And these are the dates for the other seminars or webinars, which is now reflecting in the screen. So you can have a note. Maybe the same link will be applicable for all the webinars. You can attend all the webinars here. So Shushmita ma'am, are you there? Hello. Mom Bhattacharya ma'am, are you there? How is the webinar? How you liked it? Any questions or any suggestion? Okay, so
Sir, in the meantime,
yes.
I can take one question from chat box.
I am just asking any more seniors are there till
Okay.
Somo Shah, are you there?
Yes, Dada, I am there.
Yeah, Somo.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please park your question. I will ask you. So, Somo, if you are there, just share your views. How is the presentation? And as you are daily working with the patient, monitoring the insulin, so how important is for the patient? So, if you can just give a look, because mostly you are giving on the views on long-acting insulin. That is the basal insulin, right? Somo. So as LADA is mostly like type 1, so you can share your views. And have you in your career got a kind of
I think as far as hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me over here. So I would like to
yourself, otherwise it's doing.
Yeah. So I've been working in a pharmaceutical company for last around 5 years as a diabetes educator, and I am basically based in Howrah. So I don't remember actually this getting LADA patient or this type 1.5 diabetes patient so far. Because this diabetes is not really common. This is very rare in our region actually. But this whole thing was very
type 1, please. Type 1.
Yes, type 1 patient I have received quite like I can say every year I counsel almost like 5 patients, 5 to 6 patients approximately in a year. I get around, they are on basal insulin and diet and everything. We counsel them. As far as I can remember, even a child at the age of 1.8 years, not even 2 years, they have also been prescribed with a basal insulin. Generally, what is recommended, below 2 years patient are not given basal insulin. But I have seen doctors have prescribed a patient, a child of 1.8 years, and has been prescribed with basal insulin. So in these kinds of cases, we try to provide a good quality diet, because in this age, the growth of the child should not be hampered. And one thing I would like to say, that whenever you are, this is I'm saying because of my past experience, I can say this. Whenever you are giving SMBG to patients, always ask the patient what doctor has prescribed them. Because I know that sometimes doctor has, sometimes doctor will say कि आप that particular machine से मत कीजिए, या आप particular घर पे मत कीजिए. Some doctors are accepting SMBG at home with glucometer. Some doctors may not accept. So rather than giving your views, always ask the patient what doctor has told you to do, and accordingly you can guide. Okay, because otherwise, if there is a conflict between doctor, because we are working as a helping hand to the doctor, so we should not get in between that line actually. So you always should, whenever you are advising something, always try to ask the patient what doctor has advised you, and then you can modify that in your own way.
So very nicely explained. Thank you, Shomo. Thank you for sharing your experience. So, Momdi, are you there?
Yeah. Hello, Shomendu. Bishon Bhalo session it was a beautiful session. And thanks to you and your team. আমি যেটা বলতে চাই, one thing just I want to add, যে we are discussing about the SMBG or CBG and the blood sugar যেটা রেজাল্টটা যেটা আসে, the difference between the venous blood and capillary blood.
Yes, Momdi.
হ্যাঁ, তো আমার যেটা দেখা সেটা হচ্ছে differences is there, কারণ venous blood আর capillary blood এ
Obviously 15 even 20 difference is there.
5 to 15% differences are coming, কিন্তু যেটা হয় কি একটা long term monitoring এর জন্য is SMBG is very important. I always
very important.
Very important. I always force my patient to do SMBG. আর আরেকটা যেটা আমি বলি, অনেক সময় দেখা যায় যে হাইলি ডায়াবেটিক বা লং টার্ম ডায়াবেটিকদের একটু নাইট টাইম ডিস্টারবেন্স হয়, তো ওনারা অনেক সময় রাত্রেবেলা উঠেও ওয়াশরুমে যান বা টয়লেট হ্যাবিটটা আসে বা হয়ে যায়, মানে ফ্রিকুয়েন্ট ইউরিনেশনের জন্য। যেটা বলেছে এত মানে স্লাইডগুলো ভীষণই ভালো ছিল, যেরকম বলেছে প্রি অ্যান্ড পোস্ট লাঞ্চ অ্যান্ড প্রি অ্যান্ড পোস্ট ডিনার, তার সাথে অনেক সময় এটা আমি অনেক সময় বলি পেশেন্টদেরকে যে যদি কখনো রাত্রেবেলা ঘুম ভাঙে তাহলে রাত্রেবেলা নাইট টাইম একটা গ্লুকোজ মনিটরিংও করা যেতে পারে, কারণ অনেক ক্ষেত্রে দেখা যায় যে ফাস্টিং সুগারটা র্যান্ডমলি হাই আসছে। তো সেক্ষেত্রেও কিন্তু এটা ওয়ান অফ দ্য মানে আরেকটা মানে প্যাটার্ন অফ ব্লাড গ্লুকোজ মনিটরিং হতে পারে। তো অনেক পেশেন্টরাই এটাতে বলে যে কি করে রাত্রেবেলা করবো অ্যান্ড অল, কিন্তু অনেকেই আবার এটাতে এগ্রি করে যে হ্যাঁ আমার তো রাত্রেবেলা ঘুম ভাঙে। তো আমরা এভাবে বলি বা আমি অন্তত বলি, সবসময় বলে রাখি যে দিস আর দ্য প্রসিডিওর, যে কোনো একটা ইউ ক্যান অ্যাপ্লাই। আর একটা যেটা SMBG ইজ ভীষণ ইম্পর্টেন্ট, কারণ SMBGটা করে যখন উনি ডক্টরের কাছে যাচ্ছেন, তো ডক্টরের যে মানে যেটাতে ওনারা মেনটেন করেন, মানে যে চার্টটা থেকে বুঝতে পারেন যে একটা অ্যাপ্রক্সলি কতটা অ্যাভারেজ যাচ্ছে ব্লাড গ্লুকোজের। এবং আরেকটা যেটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট হয় কি SMBG থেকে, যেটা আমাদের ক্ষেত্রে সুবিধা হয়, যে চার্টটা আমরা প্রোভাইড করছি, ডায়েট চার্টটা, ওই পয়েন্টস গুলোতে মানে আফটার ব্রেকফাস্ট বা বিফোর ব্রেকফাস্ট গ্লুকোজ রাইজটা কিরকম, এটা বুঝতে খুব সুবিধা হয়। মানে পিকটা কিরকম যাচ্ছে, এটা ফ্ল্যাটেন্ড হয়ে যাচ্ছে নাকি সত্যি সিরিয়াসলি পিক হচ্ছে? কারণ প্রত্যেকটা মানে ফুডের প্রত্যেকটা মানুষের ক্ষেত্রে সেম এফেক্ট তো হয় না। তো সেক্ষেত্রে
এখনই আমার আন্ডারে একটা পেশেন্ট যাচ্ছে, ওর কিন্তু এক এক দিন এক এক রকম আসছে with the same carbohydrate, এবং দুদিন ও খেলতে যাওয়ার পর after going to field there is a hypoglycemia. So without SMBG, I think the doctor 99% doctor is with the SMBG, but also Shomo has said that we should be on the same page with the doctor, because we are working as a team, dietitian, educator, doctor, or podiatrician.
One thing, আরেকটা যেটা সোমেন্দু, মানে আরেকটা যেটা প্রবলেম আমরা অন্তত ফেস করি, সেটা হচ্ছে একটা পেশেন্ট ডক্টরকে দেখিয়ে আসার পরে দে উইল ভিজিট নেক্সট আফটার 3 months। তাহলে এই যে একটা লম্বা ফেজ অফ পিরিয়ড বা একটা লম্বা টাইম, সেখানে কি ঘটছে নোবডি নোস। তুমি ডায়েট চার্টটা আমরা যেটা ফর্মুলেট করে ছেড়ে দিচ্ছি, যতক্ষণ না ওরা আমাদের কাছে আসছে উইথ দ্য মানে ওই ফাস্টিং পিপি অর র্যান্ডম ব্লাড সুগার লেভেল, ততক্ষণও জানতে পারছি না যে হাউ ইটস ওয়ার্কস। তাহলে এইটা এসএমবিজি ইজ ভেরি ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট, যেটা অলওয়েজ উই হ্যাভ টু ফোর্স আওয়ার পেশেন্ট টু বাই মেশিন অ্যান্ড ডু সিবিজি। এটা ভীষণ ইজি, গ্লুকোমিটার কিনতে বলা, এবং এটা ভীষণভাবে ফোর্স করা উচিত প্রত্যেককে, যাতে করে পেশেন্ট খুব ইজিলি অ্যাক্সেসিবল হয় আর ইজিলি হ্যান্ডেল বাই
পেশেন্ট আর ডুইং এসএমবিজি অন देयर ওন, নিজে নিজেই করে, বাচ্চারাও নিজে নিজে করতে পারে। ইট ইজ ভেরি ইজি।
এটা ভয় পায় লোকে ছুঁচে, কিন্তু এত ছোট নিডল এটা একবার দুবার না করলে তো ব্যাপারটা খুব একটা ইয়ে হয় না, ইজি হয় না।
যেটা আমরা করতাম উইথ ল্যান্ডসেট দিয়ে প্রিক করতাম, এখন তো সেই এখন অনেক বছর থেকে লাইক জানেন বন্ধুদের মতো হয়ে গেছে। ইট ইজ ইজি ভেরি।
আরেকটা যেটা ফিঙ্গারের, মানে আমি বলি যে ফিঙ্গারের টিপে প্রিক করবে না, কারণ টিপটা তো আমরা সারাক্ষণ ইউজ করছি সাইডে। হ্যাঁ এক্স্যাক্টলি, এইটা করলে কিন্তু ব্যথাটাও কম লাগে। ফিঙ্গার
Actually, what she is explaining in the slide, that is the education is very important. Education part,
counseling first before making a diet chart. You have to counsel your patient, যাতে করে ডায়াবেটিস ইজ নট আ মানে নিউ থিং টু ইউ। ডায়াবেটিসটা হতেই পারে, and you have to adjust your food, you have to tackle your diabetes, you have to tackle your fasting and PP. It's not that যে খুব সাংঘাতিক একটা ডিজিজ হয়েছে, হ্যাঁ তুমি যদি ট্যাকল করতে না পারো তাহলে তোমার অনেক কিছু হতে পারে। তো এই যে কাউন্সেলিংটা খুব ইজি ওয়েতে করে একদম পেশেন্টকে ভীষণভাবে মোটিভেট করে রাখতে হবে, দ্যাট ইজ দ্য মেন থিং। তারপরে তুমি ডায়েট চার্টটা দিয়ে তাকে আবার 1 মাস বাদে বা কন্টিনিউয়াসলি, আমি অন্তত যেটা করি, আই অলওয়েজ কিপ মাই পেশেন্ট কিপ ইন টাচ উইথ মাই হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ নাম্বার।
Yes.
ওদের মতো করে 7 days এর একটা মনিটরিং রিপোর্ট পাঠাতে।
People are doing diabetic practice, you Kalpana di, Orpita di, Shushmita di, Sunanda di, especially MRI. So these people I have said that they always keep a paper that what she was showing. I'm showing the slide. This one, the right side, no, not this one. This one. যে ডান দিকে যে ছবিতে আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি, ব্রেকফাস্ট, লাঞ্চ, ডিনার, এই ডেইলি চার্ট একটা এসএমবিজিটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট। হ্যাঁ, সো ইউ উইল ডু দ্য এসএমবিজি প্রি পোস্ট এভরিথিং, ইভেন মিডনাইট। হ্যাঁ,
যখন তুমি সময় পাবে একটা করে করো, what 2 type of checking in weekly basis এ করে যেতে থাকো, আর আমাকে রিপোর্ট পাঠাও। দ্যাট আই অলওয়েজ ডু উইথ মাই পেশেন্ট।
এনকারেজ আওয়ার পেশেন্ট।
হ্যাঁ, এনকারেজিং অ্যান্ড মানে ফার্স্ট অফ অল প্রবলেমটাকে শুনতে হবে ভীষণ ভালোভাবে, তাহলে কি পেশেন্টের তোমার প্রতি একটা কনফিডেন্স তৈরি হবে যে না, এই আমার প্রবলেমটা শুনছে। একটা ফ্রেন্ডশিপ ডেভেলপমেন্ট করতে হবে পেশেন্টের সাথে, জাস্ট লাইক আ ফ্রেন্ড, মানে নট অ্যাজ আ ডায়েটিশিয়ান আর কি। তাহলে কিন্তু পেশেন্ট অনেকটা বি মোর ইজিলি হ্যান্ডেল বাই মানে ডায়েটিশিয়ানস, মানে এটা আমার অন্তত তাই মনে হয়।
Yes, you are very senior in this field. Near about 20 years or cross 20 years. So it is a very important message to all of us, those who are newly or upcoming dietitians. So they should know that counseling is the very important.
Counseling is a first priority. মানে priority হচ্ছে counsel your patient কি হয়েছে।
তোমরা যত ভালোই ডায়েট চার্ট করো, but the important is counseling. You have to learn this art of counseling.
কাউন্সেলিং যদি না করতে পারি ঠিক মতো, যদি ডায়েট চার্টটা যত ভালো যেভাবেই করি, আমি তো পেশেন্টকে কনফিডেন্সটাই ডেভেলপ
Only in
করাতে
my
পারবো
6
না।
month course, first thing we used to do this counseling session টা আমরা ওদেরকে শেখাই with me and Kalpana di or whoever. So we give importance to the counseling. Without counseling, it is very
একদম
difficult
মানে
to handle the
ইউজলেস,
patient.
কারণ পেশেন্ট নিয়ে গিয়ে ওটা নিজের কাবার্ডে রেখে দেবে, ওটা হি উইল নট ইউজ। আর কন্টিনিউয়াস বলতে হবে, কনফিডেন্স ডেভেলপ করো যে যা প্রবলেম হবে, মানে আমার কাছে এরকমও ফোন আসে যে আজকে এইটা রান্না করেছি ম্যাডাম, তাহলে কি খাবো? মানে মাঝে মাঝে মেসেজগুলো দেখলেও মনে হয় যে এটাও জিজ্ঞেস করছে, তারপর ভাবি না ঠিক আছে।
এটা তো আছে, এটা তো আছে।
এইটা ভীষণ ভাবে ইম্পর্টেন্ট কি পেশেন্টের সাথে র্যাপো তৈরি করো ফার্স্ট, তাহলেই দেখবে ওই কনফিডেন্স এন্ড ওই ভালোবাসাতে পেশেন্ট অনেকটা বেশি তোমার কাছে যা বলবে তাই করবে।
তাই করবে। Yes, thank you.
সেশন এন্ড ভেরি মানে ইউজফুল স্লাইডস, খুব ভালো ইনফরমেশন ছিল এবং
All are made by Momdi, all are made by them. No help from my side. All the students are made on their own. Especially the study and everything. I really like. And Shaturupa, if you are there, if you can say about the coffee part.
আচ্ছা,
Coffee একটা জায়গায় বলছিল to study about the coffee. So Shaturupa যদি একটু আরেকবার থাকো তো।
all the speakers are very good and well explained your slides. Very good slide, very good program.
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, good night.
Okay. So moving on.
Momdi is there, Somenduda is there, so I want to tell one thing that one of my patients at about 59 years old now.
Momdi, you need to mute yourself. Momdi, you have to mute yourself. Shuchandra is telling something.
He is diagnosed as type 1 diabetes mellitus at about he's 40 years of old. So, is he LADA?
40 years of old, what is happening?
He is diagnosed as type 1 diabetes.
No, it cannot, it may be, but it also cannot be LADA, because you have to check for the test also and go for the C-peptide and the other tests recommended by the doctors. If it is LADA, if it is a rare case, maybe there is LADA. Actually, I think Rajarshi or Vidha or Shaturupa can, if you can answer this question, I will be more happy. Because these are very, very common. That is symptoms of MODY, symptoms of LADA. These are very, very much common. So Shuchandra, you have to go to
Need antibody test. Need auto antibody
yes,
test.
I am forgetting that.
Especially GADA.
Especially GADA,
antibody
IAA,
test.
C-peptide. Okay.
Actually,
Antibody
doctor has
test
not
are-
recommended any test. Doctor has diagnosed as type 1 diabetes, and I am worried about that. At about 40 years of age, how could one recognize as type 1 diabetes?
No, it is though rare, but it can be. But doctor should go for the test, because recently I was sharing with my students that one patient has came with type 1B diabetes. That is, beta cells are partially working. It is neither LADA nor MODY, but doctor will go for the antibody test now, and doctor will go for the MODY test also. But Shuchandra, it is a confusing case. Age of 12 years. The patient was treated without insulin and medication. Patient with only diet. 8 to 9 months, the patient was perfectly okay. Now there is again fluctuate of glucose. The patient is on metformin GP, and the patient is on Lantus 6 unit. So Shumon is monitoring from Sanofi. Shumon is monitoring for that patient. So you can understand now the patient is not responding to medication, and I talked to that respective doctor, and doctor agreed with me, and doctor will now give 3 shots of rapid acting insulin and 1 long acting insulin. Okay. Okay. Amrita Pal has raised hand. What is the question? Amrita, what do you want to ask? Thank you, Shuchandra, for your input. This is a rare case. Please keep the record, because I am keeping all the records in PDFs and in my file. So it will be a great case study for you. You keep the record. I will talk to you offline. And it is a great learning from Shuchandra, Shomo, obviously Momdi. Shushmita Di has texted me that unfortunately she had to left for an urgent work, but otherwise she was also interested.
I'm there.
Oh, Shushmita Di,
Wait, I have come.
Thank you for coming. Momdi was giving a brief explanation, Shoumo, about the SMBG importance. So now I want to take your feedback, but do you want to ask that question, that should I go back, that question you are asking in that slide?
The second point, I need a little bit elaborations.
Annesha,
Yes, sir.
which point let check? This one, Shushmita Di?
The second point.
Annesha, just read out the second point.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, it's multi-center studies carried out in Europe, Asia, and North America reported that 4% to 14% of patients were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes are positive, and they are also positive for type 1 diabetes mellitus associated with autoantibodies. And when these two means type 2 and type 1 both are associated, then we are diagnosing it as LADA.
I don't get the point. Can you explain it? I can read out all the things.
না অ্যান্টিবডির জায়গাটা বলো, অ্যান্টিবডি টেস্ট করানো হয়েছে, আমি বলবো না,
মানে টাইপ বাংলাতেই বলবো। টাইপ 2 ডিএম হিসেবে তাদের ডায়াগনোজ করা হয়েছিল, কিন্তু তারপরেও টাইপ 1 ডায়াবেটিস মেলিটাস হওয়ার জন্য যে অ্যান্টিবডিজ গুলো তাদের বডিতে ছিল সেইগুলোও পাওয়া গেছে। তো দুটো একসাথে যেহেতু পাওয়া যাচ্ছে, তাই জন্য ওদেরকে বলা হচ্ছে মানে they were diagnosed as LADA.
But antibody test is very important for this patient.
আর আরেকটা হচ্ছে যে আপনাদের তোমাদের যে প্রিভিয়াস যে স্লাইডটা ছিল যেখানে ক্লাসিফিকেশন ছিল, ক্যান আই লুক ব্যাক ওভার देयर? তো সেখানে ওইটা কিভাবে এক্সপ্লেনেশন দিচ্ছ তোমরা, এই যে মনোজিনের ব্যাপারটা একটু যদি তোমরা একটু বলো, ওই জায়গাটা আমার কাছে।
মনোজিন এটা আমরা অতটা মানে ডিটেইলসে পড়িনি, কিন্তু যতটুকু আমরা ক্লাসে শিখেছি আর কি। তো এটা হচ্ছে মানে পার্টিকুলার একটা কোনো একটা জিনের মিউটেশন ঘটছে, তার ফলে এই মডি বা এনজিএম এইগুলো এই কন্ডিশন গুলো দেখা দিচ্ছে পেশেন্টসের।
আচ্ছা, আর এমআরডি এগুলো কি আছে বলো একটু। এমওডি
হ্যাঁ
তো পড়ে বললে হবে না,
হ্যাঁ মনোজিন
what you have understood সেটা আমাকে এক্সপ্লেইন করো।
Monogene has two types, that is MODY and NDM. MODY is maturity onset, like it's seen in the young patients, and NDM is seen in the neonatal patients, newborn. And type 2 has severe forms and mild forms, and the severe forms are like one may have a severe insulin deficiency, or one may have severe insulin resistant. Okay, so that's the SIDD and SIRD, and the mild forms of type 2 are MARD, that is mild age-related diabetes, and means due to aging process, the patient may suffer from type 2, and it's a mild form. And MOD is mild obesity related, means those who have central obesity, we know they may have insulin resistance, and for that they may have type 2 diabetes. And gestational, we all know, during the pregnancy, mainly in the second trimester, the patients suffer from high glucose level. Means that's the gestational diabetes mellitus, and it's a mild form of type 2.
Okay, so we will have another session for MODY and MRDM and drug induced. So those who will be presenting, Shushmita ma'am is very right. So you should clear your concept wherever required. You can take the senior cell. So but যতটা বুঝবো সেটুকু concept clear রাখবো, because these are the rare thing, and the students who have joined today, this is the message for the students also. So this is a great learning platform. Now you are in the education platform. You are doing your BSc or MSc. So একবার once you get passed out and you are joining any, like Shuchandra can agree with me, তখন পড়াশোনা করাটা is very difficult. So not difficult, we are everyday reading, we are everyday upgrading ourselves. But when you are in the when you are as a student, I cannot understand that why you don't know the diagnostic criteria of diabetes, why you don't know the normal fasting PP range, why you don't know the random range. And when, unfortunately, when you are going for the interview for any job, so because of this you are getting cancelled. You have 85% result from Calcutta University or other universities and you are going there, but this result and the certificates you are doing, everybody is doing NDEP now, very good enriching diabetes educator course. But I will just anyone from the message, I can ask anyone. I know that you people will not be able to answer my question. So this is the thing, that when you are learning, it is a free course, it is a paid course, it is your academic career. So at least learn whatever you are learning. Please be dedicated with that. If you love the subject nutrition, genuinely we can do for the patients. Otherwise, we are also quack dietitians. We are also quack. Don't fight for the quack. I am very disappointed seeing in the social media, you people are always fighting for the quack dietitians. No need of fighting with the quack. We all are quack. Because I know 10%, because I have to, if I have to give number out of 10, I will give 3 or 4 to me. I will not give more than that, because my knowledge.
One more question. When the gestational diabetic patient will come to you people, so how you counsel those patients about except the diet part? I'm not
sorry, I couldn't hear you, ma'am. Your voice was breaking.
I'm just asking.
Can you repeat the question?
You can, Annesha can also answer. Ma'am was asking about the gestational diabetes, how you take care.
I don't want to get into the diet part. What are the other message you should give to your patient?
First of all, means patients who are having above 120 means 120 milligram per DL PP. So diabetologists are recommending for lifestyle changes and dietary changes. So by modifying these, we can control the GDM.
I'm not saying that. I'm just asking the
doctors are also.
patient message দেবে কি কাউন্সেলিং করবে পেশেন্ট
আমি ডায়েটের ব্যাপারে ঢুকছি না
আচ্ছা নিজের এক্সপেরিয়েন্স দিয়ে বলি মানে রোজই হ্যাঁ জিডিএম পেশেন্টস প্রচুর আসছে আমি শিশুমঙ্গলে যেহেতু ইন্টার্নশিপ করছি তো ওনারা আগে এসেই বলছে যে আমার কি তাহলে সুগারটা হয়েই গেল মানে তারা প্রচন্ড টেনসড হয়ে রয়েছে যে তাদের সুগার হয়ে গেছে তো তাদের কিছু একটা ক্ষতি হতে পারে তার বাচ্চার ক্ষতি হতে পারে তো আমরা এটাই বলি যে এখন কোনো চিন্তার কারণ নেই
Yes, continue.
কে ফলো করেন আর এসএমবিজি করেন যেটা অলরেডি ডায়াবেটোলজিস্টরা প্রেসক্রাইব করেই দেয় আর হাতে এসএমবিজির একটা শীট দিয়েই দেয় সেগুলো করতে থাকুন মনিটরিং করতে থাকুন তাহলে আপনার কোনো চিন্তা নেই আপনার মানে প্রেগন্যান্সির শেষে এটা আবার কন্ট্রোলে এসেও যেতে পারে আর যদি নাও বা আসে তাতেও কোনো মানে আপনাদের লাইফস্টাইল চেঞ্জেস করলে আশা করা যায় ওটা কন্ট্রোলে থাকবে
ওকে
আমি এখানে কি একটু কিছু অ্যাড করতে পারি
হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই খুব ভালো হয় কারণ এটা ক্লাসের মতো অ্যাড করো না তুমি because I want you separately in one class to give these tips but give a small your message to the
আমি once মানে আমি একটা বলছি most of the patient এর একটা এখানে তো আমরা being a dietitian or being a diabetic educator we want to create the awareness right actually from my experience what I am observing that GDM patients are very good patient as a patient with diabetes right as because on that time they have got a fear in her mind that maybe I'm going to hurt my fetus so that's why they have listened every single word
yes they do
from the doctors as well as you people
yes,
but after the gestation period is over they become fully they think that okay fine now I'm okay so
yes now I can have anything I want and no need to control any carbohydrate
no nothing okay fine
yes.
So you need to give a message to those patients that even if you are after the gestation period over you may find that you don't have any sugar and all your sugar level is under control and you may get to have insulin shots as well as your medicines
yes
but
yes
every 3 months interval you need to check your sugar as well as your HbA1c that is
because they are
emphasized because
they are more prone to diabetes at a later stage
exactly
after 12 or 10 years they may have diabetes
another more things you need to add whenever the patient, even they come from the rural area, or even they come from the urban, mostly the nowadays, due to this net and all this thing on this platform, they are very much prone to see all the thing. They start studying, they start research on this paper. They may have some papers on that. Okay, say they are always stick with the social media, and they always search in Google search these and that, and that create stress. That creates stress, and that stress releasing hormone means cortisol hormone is very high for those patients.
Yes.
Okay, if you ask the patient যে আপনি কি গুগল করেন, গুগলে দেখছেন তো এগুলো, তখন উনি বলেন হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ আমি তো প্রত্যেকটা, যেমন আমার স্ক্যান গুলোকেও দেখি, আমার আল্ট্রাসোনোগ্রাফি গুলোকেও দেখি, ওকে, আমার অ্যানামল স্ক্যানও দেখি। So on that time you need to stop your patient.
Okay.
Otherwise you find that এই যে পুরো সুগারের চার্টটাই চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাচ্ছে, বিকজ স্ট্রেস তখন মারাত্মক থাকে জিডিএম পেশেন্টদের।
They are getting stressed so much.
স্ট্রেস মানে আমি যদি আপনি আমাদের মানে সৌমেন্দুকে আমি পরে পাঠাবো উইথ মানে পেশেন্ট আগের সপ্তাহে দেখেছি তার এক ধরনের সুগার 229 240, আমি যখন এগুলো বলাতে পেশেন্ট এইটা জাস্ট রিসেন্ট 1 উইক আগে, তো সেই পেশেন্ট আবার যখন চার্ট পাঠালো এখন কিরকম দেখছেন, এখন সবই হচ্ছে 120 90 88 এরকম তার সুগার থাকছে। সুতরাং এইগুলো কিন্তু একটা ফোকাস করতে হবে, মানে ইউ নিড টু কাউন্সেল ইওর পেশেন্ট। শুধু কয়েকটা খাবারের কথা বা পোর্শন কন্ট্রোল করাটাই কিন্তু অ্যাকচুয়াল কথা নয়।
Our role is a vast role, na? People do not understand the role of the dietitian. Thank you, very, very enriching that point Shushmita ma'am has added. Last point, what she told, just I am concluding that point, that she wants to tell that if your patient is type 2, type 1, or especially the gestational diabetes, they should not go and check with this Google, YouTube and social media and checking their reports and what is my condition, how it is affecting. So I was sharing with Shushmita, the one patient was going for a skin treatment, and she was taking one medication. I am not telling about the name of the medication. It is an acne medication, and doctor told her that when you are taking this medication, take with some fat-rich food. So she has Googled, and she has find that she have to take 500 to 600 calorie from fat for that particular meal. So she was insisting me to give that high fat-rich diet, and already her triglyceride and that cholesterol has shoot up. So I have nicely explained that একটা রোগ ভালো করতে আপনার কিন্তু আরেকটা রোগ বাঁধাবে. So acne is nothing serious, but you are asking to have so high fat diet, and searching for Google, she is sending me screenshot. I have shared with all my students, and also the voice call. So this is a very tough thing, that with Google you cannot get each and everything. Obviously from the internet we are getting the knowledge, obviously, but the patients are laymen, they are not the dietitians. So whatever they will instruct, do not follow. So thank you everyone. Swati, if it is last question, Swati Pandey, if you want to ask the last question, and we will close the session. Swati has asked a question in the chat box. If she is there, please ask the question, Swati. So hope there are no more questions. So we should close the session for today. And if all the participants, if you can
switch. So Priyanka Rathore has raised her hand.
Yes,
if she has any question.
Yes, Priyanka, you can ask your question. You can unmute and ask your question. Because those the people. Yes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Priyanka, you are audible.
Okay. So actually, I have a patient. She is 52 years old, and she is having LADA. So, but she is not able to do any kind of exercise because she has back problem, severe back problem. So she can't walk, and even she can't sit for more than 10 to 15 minutes. So what should I recommend her in physical activity? What she can do?
I am coming with a session on physical activity and diabetes very soon. for the physically challenging patients and which type of exercise is recommended for which patient. But at least this is not our area of concern. Priyanka, you should advise for a physiotherapy. You should advise for a physiotherapy help, and obviously sitting in one place. Also, we can move our hands, we can rotate our knees, you can see my video, we can do that, we can stretch our legs. So little bit of exercise is required. Sitting in idle place, like you're sitting for 20 minutes also, moving the hands and feet, especially the extremities, nerve endings. You have to keep active, and you should obviously take the help of expert. That is, a physiotherapist should come and should help and should show some exercise, because exercise is must for each and everybody. So you have to check for, except for the bedridden or the collapsed patients or patient in a serious condition, the patient which you are talking about also can be recommended with some exercise. So you please help the expert.
Okay,
Yes.
sir. And sir, LADA is also called brittle diabetes. Am I right?
Yes, I think you joined a little bit late, so we are explaining that also. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Kajal?
Sir, I want to add something about the physical activity, what she asked. That a little bit of walking and brisk walking may also help that patient.
He cannot walk. The patient cannot walk. You have not listened to the question. तो थोड़ा चैलेंज है उनको. बहुत ज्यादा देर तक बैठ भी नहीं सकते हैं पेशेंट. तो उसके लिए पेशेंट को थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, एंड चलना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो रहा है पेशेंट के लिए. राइट प्रियंका? No, or he can walk.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She has back problem.
Back problem.
Okay.
Brisk walking, otherwise, so you can give to anybody. So, any more question? No more question. Thanks. It is really, I have learned also many things from you people. So every day we will be learning. So this is the last advice to all the dietitian, nutritionist, or the junior, especially the junior who have joined. Momdi, still you are with us, so thank you. You have explained nicely, Shomo, Shuchandra, Shushmita Di. But those who are junior people, every day read on something, make your own videos, make your write-ups, write on articles. So then you can actually gain the knowledge. For example, last week I was telling about the functional food. Even this same functional food, which is good for type 2 diabetes, may not good for type 1 diabetes, or may not good for gestational diabetes. So same thing will not work for all. It is a very customized thing, and diet chart is also very customized. Some people have requested me to learn diet chart within 2 days. She or he wants to pay me and wants to learn diet chart within 2 or 3 days. So Momdi, Shushmita Di, will you agree with me? Said it is not possible for me. Even you are, whatever you are paying to me, I cannot do this injustice to you. So thank you, and so good night.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
everyone,
all.
for joining. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much
all
for listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks to all.